Hello, wavies people. And I wanted to start by saying that and to put a question out to all of you, because what my experience of MDDS, Debarquement Syndrome, what I have affectionately dubbed it as, and my 3-year-old daughter uses the term too, but as my wavies. I am at the moment in a spell, a triggered period after taking a 3-hour flight over to Australia from my home of New Zealand. I'm about 2.5 months going on now. My symptoms are at about a level 5. So when I move my head, even just like that, I feel that wobbling, that bouncing sensation around my body. So I just want you to know I'm right here with you in this journey. I know how freaking hard it is. And I know that the yoga and Pilates practices that I have as an instructor and that I implement really have helped me in the past to become symptom-free, or at least to manage my symptoms when they're difficult. So I really hope that that's what happens for you. Do leave me a comment and let me know if you have an affectionate nickname for the difficulty that we go through. I'd love to hear it if you do. We're going to start out in this session really focusing on the sensation of grounding down, our experience of gravity, something that we have a little bit of difficulty with. So I want you to begin in any comfortable seat. It might mean for you actually physically sitting onto a seat. It might be that you can sit cross-legged, or you'd like your legs out in front of you, or perhaps just a cushion underneath the bottom, whatever helps you to become more comfortable seated. Then when we arrive here, we'll take our palms and rest them so that they are facing downwards. We'll pull our shoulders up towards our ears, draw them back and set them down on our back. And beginning with a breathing practice where I want you to feel comfortable to either close your eyes or keep them open. And if you keep them open, fix your gaze on a single point. Engage with that single point of focus and then try and soften the gaze down a little bit. That's for those of you for whom when you close your eyes, it feels a little bit too much. And sometimes that's me, so I understand that too. If it's dark, a lit candle, and gazing at the candle can be quite nice as well. So once we've established that, and I will close my eyes for this just to guide you through it, let's draw the breath in as deeply as we can, thinking about filling our body from the base upwards. So allowing breath to arrive in the belly, higher above the belly button into the chest using the diaphragm, and then right into the upper chest, and even a sensation of breath in the throat if it can arrive there for you. And then as you let the breath go, the reverse of that. The belly deflates, it empties of breath, and then as do the lungs, the upper chest, the breath leaves the body via the nose if possible. Again, a deep breath in, letting that breath rise from the belly upwards, and letting the breath leave the body from the belly upwards. Then we start to add on just this awareness, this sensation of creating some buoyancy in the body and some space in the body with our inhalation breath, just like a balloon inflating. So you draw the breath in from the belly upwards. See if you can grow your spine a little taller, lifting your crown of the head up towards the ceiling. And then on your exhalation breath, thinking of a balloon deflating, the density increasing in your body and grounding down towards the earth. So engagement with your sitting bones. With those palms that are facing down, feel the heaviness of them drawing down that gravitational pull. And let's repeat. Inhale, breath. Becoming lighter, more spaciousness in the body. That floating away feeling, that floating head feeling we might know really well, but connect to it for a moment. And then exhalation breath, let's focus on that grounding down sensation. Couple more rounds. If your symptoms are like mine, it will never feel like you are completely sitting still. I feel a little bobbing and rocking while I perform this breathing. but doing your best to harness your mind to that gravitational pull, to feel secure in that grounding force, and to retrain these neurons that have gone a little astray, to remind them of your safety, your connection to the earth. And then if you have chosen to close your eyes, let's all flutter them open and find a singular point of focus, something that you're looking directly towards. I suppose it should be the camera for me. Well, we will then drop our ear down towards our shoulder. So just tilting to the side, keeping your eyes fixed on that point that you've established. Feel the stretch open up on the opposite side of the neck to where we've leaned. And then see if you can nod your head like you're saying yes, keeping that point of focus, keeping the eyes completely tracked forward. And then shake your head no, getting that nice stretch through the trapezius muscle. And also just, again, training ourselves to stay grounded, feeling it go again to the yes. Feeling the gravitational pull through your sitting bones, your hip flexors as we move these tiny micro movements. And on your next inhalation breath, keep the eyes tracked exactly where they are, and we lean over to the other side. Exhale, sighing a little as we drop the ear down. Again, just a little bit of nodding the head yes, and shaking the head no. And I love these micro movements into the neck, because of how tense we can sometimes feel if you're getting that fatigue, that anxiety throughout your day just building up. This is a great opportunity to try and let some of that flush out of the neck. It sometimes feels like my neck stiffens just in relation to that bobbing head sensation. And then from here, we'll bring the head back to upright, take interlaced hands behind the back of the head. This one's going to feel a little bit more intense in terms of stretch, and I still want you to keep your eyesight looking forward as we draw the chin in towards the chest. And then when you can't look forward anymore, then I want you to look down and then find a point that you focus on looking downwards. Pull the elbows in towards one another, start to draw the belly button to the back of the spine, and then bringing yourself into as deep a forward flexion as you can. So that's a C curve in the back of your body. On our inhalation breath, we're going to open the chest back up. So we're taking our gaze, we're looking at that point downwards, starting to lift the head. And then once you can't hold that downwards gaze anymore as you're lengthening through the spine, then we're going to nice and gently open up the elbows and then transfer our gaze, staying really steady, up towards the ceiling, and find a spot to focus on there. So one of the things I do is just take care to move really slowly. I can't do that in all the classes that I teach, but it's my intention in my personal practice to really slow things down. A few breaths here. Then let's level ourselves back out, taking that gaze just nice and slowly back to that forward point of focus. And we'll come now into taking our hand out to the side, setting the fingers down next to the hip and reaching the opposite arm up and overhead. Again, track your gaze, keep it focused forward. What I want you to do in this position is ground down now through the sitting bone on the side that you're reaching over. And then we ground down through the fingertips on the side where we've got the hand to the mat. So that oppositional pull, this hip pulls down, these fingertips ground down. And depending on your range of flexibility, you might be able to drop your forearm down towards the ground, or you could prop a cushion or a couple of books there to give you a little bit of elevation. Keep pushing down though into that supporting hip flexor, into that supporting sit bone rather, and into that supporting fingertips or forearm. Big stretch through that side body. Now we're going to do one of my favorite shoulder pieces of work, this top arm. Let's drop it down. And we're going to trace a horizon line with this hand. So let's change our gaze to look at your thumb. Stare at it so that everything else feels a little bit blurry, and then we're going to follow it along with our gaze, with our eyes. We'll come all the way out to the side. Turn the palm to face the ceiling, still tracking your gaze on it, and then reach on your inhale, breath up and overhead again. We do that again. Turn the palm to face the ground, watch it come into your eye line, trace a horizon line. Around we go. That can be your exhalation breath if you're happy to link the breath to the movement. Inhale, reaching up and overhead. Drop into that horizon line and exhale as we sweep it around. And then let's move slowly to the other side. So take your time coming on up. Maybe when you come to this point, things feel a little bit dizzy. Just let yourself move through that with grace. And then come over to the other side. Fingertips ground in alignment with the hip. We're reaching that top arm up and overhead. And then seeing how much we can ground down through the arm that is raised, that side's hip. And then this arm that is down towards the ground, pushing into those fingertips, maybe the flat palm, maybe eventually the lower portion of your arm, your forearm. Couple of breaths here. And then 3 rounds of tracing this horizon line and opening up our shoulder. So we drop the arm down in front, we catch sight of our thumb, we watch that arm trace a horizon line around. Turning the palm to face up, inhalation breath, reaching up and overhead. You're working here, this is a mobility move. We want to work to a pain-free range of motion. Don't expect your arm to move the same way as mine. Instead, really feel into what this is like in your shoulder, especially if you've had shoulder injuries or limitations before. And for the last time, inhaling up and over. And exhaling, guiding that arm around. And we'll take our time, bringing ourselves up nice and gently. And we'll come here from whatever seated position we've been in, as long as you're comfortable to do it, onto our hands and our knees. Let's set up a really firm tabletop position here. So the wrists aligned to underneath the shoulders, the fingers spread wide, the knees are hip distance apart. Options when we're in this tabletop is actually also to push into your knuckles and make soft fists instead if you have any wrist issues. And that actually includes me today. I've got a slightly tender left wrist from some classes I've been teaching. We're all going to tuck our toes under and push down into the toes of the feet. Let's establish again this grounding sensation. I feel a bit like a gorilla with my knuckles here, actually. It's quite nice. So pushing down through those hands or knuckles, and then lifting the chest up in between the shoulders, pushing down through the toes, pushing down through the knees. And then let's use our transverse abdominals to get a real centering sensation through the midsection. Belly button to the back of the spine. Tailbone slightly tucked under. From here, we'll arch up into our cat posture. Using Pilates style breathing now, we take a breath in, and then on our exhalation breath, we draw that belly button to the back of the spine, pull your pubic bone forward, and transfer your gaze from looking straight down to looking between your legs. Arching as high up towards the ceiling as we can, flexing that back. Inhale here to pause, and then exhale, keep pulling that belly button to the back of the spine as we level the back out to a tabletop position and change the gaze again to looking straight down. Moving super slowly and with intention, 2 more like that. Inhale here, prepare. Exhale, belly button to the back of the spine, locking that midsection on, trying to push your hands or your fists forward here without lifting them, grounding down into the balls of the feet, those toes, the knees, arching towards the ceiling. Feel the density of your body. Inhale, breath. Exhale, the abs are back on as we draw ourselves back into a tabletop line. We'll do 1 more like that. Inhale here, exhale, abs are on, pelvic floor engages. Imagine stopping a flow of urine midstream. No other way to talk about pelvic floor than mentioning that.
We arch back up towards the ceiling. Inhale, breath here to pause. Exhale, core control, and we level it back out. We're going to come from here just onto our fingertips and then have a go at bringing ourselves into a low lunge. Let's watch our balance as we do. We bring our right foot forward between the hands. When we come into right foot forward, the first thing I want you to check is that you're not tight roping your legs at all. By that I mean having the front foot aligned to the back knee. Instead, set them wide. Give yourself at least a hip distance berth. Some of you might even go a little bit wider. The bigger the foundation that we work into, the more sense of balance and strength that we have through our legs. Left toes are still tucked under. We're going to take an inhalation breath here now as we lift our left knee away from the ground. We're in a runner's lunge position. Can you rise right up onto your fingertips? Push your left heel back and try and take your gaze forward. Imagine you want to sprint off some blocks here. Now in your exhalation breath, we're going to gently train our gaze back towards our rear leg. So we're ducking the chin in towards the chest, looking to that rear leg, checking that the heel is lifted and your kneecap is soft, and then allowing some bend to come out of that front leg. And your range might be much smaller than mine. You might need some support underneath your hands in the form of blocks or books or anything you've got around that could lift them up. Or you could even take your hands up towards your thigh. Harder for balance though. Then let's turn this into a little flow that utilizes the breath. So on your exhalation breath, we're guiding our right knee to a bend over our right ankle and we're taking our gaze forward. Feel the length come through the back. On your exhalation breath, we're elevating the sit bones a little higher to the ceiling and we're looking towards that back leg. I think that was the inhale breath, sorry. So on your exhalation breath, right knee aligns to right ankle. We take our time tracking that gaze forward. And then inhale breath, lifting those sit bones a little higher, looking to that back leg. And you might be able to increase your range of motion each time. We've got 2 to go. Exhale, runner's lunge, gaze tracks forward, push into that supporting foot. Inhale, hips lift up. Can you feel each of your toes in your back leg connected to the ground? Can you feel each of the toes in your front leg connected to the ground? And then refind that runner's lunge. Let's find a sense of balance now as we lower our back knee to the ground. Check we've got this wide berth, hip distance through our legs, bringing our hands up towards our thigh. And you'll notice a lot of the time I'm really focused with my gaze. I'm looking down. I'm not ready to look up yet because if I do that quickly, I know I'm going to wibble wobble and really lose my balance. So then let's track our gaze forward. Take your time. Feel that you've got this grounding sensation through the palms on that front thigh. Now, it's totally up to you and where you're at with your balance, where you take this to next. I just want you to find somewhere where you do get the wibble wobbles. So for some of you, you might already be well there. You're like, just holding this as a challenge. Start deeply breathing. Some of you will be able to lift your arms. And then that might feel really challenging. Some of you will be able to do another gaze change, which means instead of looking forward, we're looking up towards the ceiling. That absolutely does it for me. So this is really tricky already in my body, and I have to focus. The reason we're going to a place where you feel uncomfortable is because I believe that when we find that level of uncomfortable, that's when we're working on correcting, again, these neural pathways. If we shy completely away from the discomfort, then sure, it feels better, but I'm not sure that that helps us in reaching this remission or this change of our neurochemistry. I'm looking right at the spot on the ceiling, and I felt really wibbly wobbly when I first got here, and now I feel a little bit stronger. One more breath in, and then let's come out nice and slowly. If you lifted your gaze to the ceiling, I want you to track it forward first. Feel that you're a little bit safer, a little bit more comfortable there, and then we're all going to bring our hands down to frame that front foot. Bring the right knee back to meet the left, and you can swish your hips a little bit here as we get ready for the other side. So on the next inhalation breath, the left foot comes forward. We're checking we've got that wide berth, hip distance apart. Toes are tucked under on that back leg. And now we lift our back knee away from the ground. We're trying to push the heel behind us, nice stretch there in the calf, try and elongate the spine, maybe even gaze to the tip of your nose a moment. That can be a fun one to have a point of focus that's a little bit different. And then on your next inhalation breath, small movement. Try and take some bend out of that front knee. We try and lift the hips a little bit higher, but importantly, we change our gaze. We're looking to that back leg, and I want you to really connect to where that foot is grounded. Through the toes, feel that sensation of gravity. And then on your next exhalation breath, left knee's gliding forward to find runner's lunge. The gaze shifts. We're in anticipation of a running race. A panther, ready to pounce. Inhalation breath, hips lift, looking to that back leg. Exhalation breath, finding that runner's lunge. Take your time, changing the gaze. Let's do 3 more. Inhale, hips lift a little, feel the stretch in the hamstring. Exhale, knee glides forward. Remembering that if it's your hands just feel like I can't reach the mat in this position, then you can elevate the ground to meet you by stacking books on top of one another. If you own yoga blocks, then you could add yoga blocks underneath the hands. It's important to be able to ground down through those fingertips as well. Last one here. And then let's work into our low lunge, nice and steady and slow. The back knee drops. I'm still looking down. I'm going to take my hands to the top of my left thigh. I'm going to check in here. The two sides might feel really different, so be kind to yourself about that as well. Tuck our tailbone under slightly, draw up through the pelvic floor. Pressing into the front of the thigh, this might be you. You might just stay here. Maybe you can track the gaze forward. Maybe that feels like that's enough for you. It's enough sensation. It's difficult enough to be here. Maybe you can lift the arms, aligning your biceps to your ears. Maybe you could shift the gaze to the ceiling, and it's sometimes the shifting that is the hardest part. When you arrive, imagine your body turning to stone. You're going to activate all your muscles. Try and squeeze your glutes to the bone, pull your inner thighs in towards the midline of the mat, and push down again through the front foot, through the back toes. A couple of nice deep breaths here. And then let's come down slowly. We took the gaze up, take it forward first. Took the arms up, take them down. Bring the fingertips to connect to the earth and take that forward foot back. Little swish of the hips if we need it. We are going to come up now, if we can, through a downward dog, but know that you could come up to standing through another means, another method, if it's better for you. Downward dog, we spread our hands wide, we push into our finger pads and the space underneath our knuckles and the very heel of our palms, trying to suction away from the ground the middle portion of the palms. Tuck your toes under and reconnect to that sensation of pushing toes down towards the earth, gravitational pull. Then we hover our knees just away from the ground. Let's transfer the gaze really slowly. The hips are lifting up towards the ceiling, and then you're going to slowly draw the chin closer to the chest and start to look to your legs. Now, once you feel a little bit more stable here, then we can try and align our ears to our biceps again, pushing our heart back towards our legs, pulling our shoulders onto our back. Then from here, we might pedal our legs out. It can feel quite nice. Drop one heel, lift it up, use your exhalation breath, drop the other heel down towards the ground. Inhale, lift it up. That doesn't feel nice, you don't have to do it. And we'll see if we can find a point of focus again for our gaze. I'm looking at a light switch on the wall behind me right now, and that's really helpful. A few deep breaths. I want to take us very slowly forward. Start looking at your feet, taking them on a little journey, bringing them closer to the hands. You might need to lift right up onto your fingertips, and we'll bring ourselves to sit at hip distance apart with our feet. We're going to ground down into the toes, push into the heels, and then take our hands and establish a balance by pushing our hands here against the front of our shin bones. Bend your knees super generously so that you can bring your belly closer to the front of your thighs, or to rest on the front of your thighs ideally. And then on your next inhalation breath, we're going to push our palms into the shins, establish some real like resistance there. So we're pushing against the shins with the palms and kind of pushing against the palms with the shins at the same time. We elongate the legs and we take our back into a flat position. Maybe the fingertips need to glide a little bit further up the legs. See what feels good to you. Pull the shoulders onto the back.
Take a deep breath in, and then as you exhale, we're going to go softer here. So we rebend the knees, we feel the palms slide down the front of the shins, we draw the chin in towards the chest, we're staying aware of where we're looking, and then we might slowly look behind us. We're just going to do that one more time. Head below the heart stuff can feel really challenging. Inhalation breath, we find what we call halfway lift, flat back, strong arms, and then exhalation breath. Nice and slowly bending those knees, chin towards the chest. As we come up, we're going to do it through a Pilates roll up. So we take our hands away from our legs. We establish legs that are set in a perfect posture, feet hip distance apart. Inner thighs trying to turn forward without changing anything else. See that difference that makes in your body. Try and push those inner thighs forward. And then drawing the belly button to the back of the spine. You've got a little flexion in your knees. We're going to lift ourselves up towards standing. So inhale here, prepare. Exhale, abs are on. And we're feeling that those legs are totally set to stone. So the work goes into the hamstrings and then the glutes as we start to roll up. And then we feel our lower back come into the position. And then our mid back. The hips are coming forward as the shoulders find their alignment. And we're still looking down. Pull the shoulders onto the back. And then super gently, I might even take a finger to your chin and just start to lift your head back up. Getting awareness of where you are in space. Grounding down is the whole theme of this today. And then from there, take both hands by your sides. We come into a little bit of Pilates leg work. So taking our time to double check that posture. Feet hip distance apart, kneecaps are soft, inner thighs are trying to turn forward. We come from here into bringing one foot out front. And as we do this, check that kneecap stays soft. The inner thigh looks up towards the ceiling. We check our pelvis alignment. So you might have to slightly tilt your pubic bone forward, pull your shoulders down and onto the back. Then from here, we take an inhalation breath, fill up that belly. Exhale, pelvic floor engagement. Hold on to an imaginary wee. Pull belly button to the back of the spine. Squeeze those glutes together. And we're going to slide this leg to the back of us, like you're going ice skating. Inhale, pause here. Exhale, pelvic floor, core engagement, and slide it forward. Now you could come over to a wall to do this if this would be beneficial for you for balance. Sometimes it's nice to counter with your arms, so they go the opposite side to the leg. Inhale, pause here at the front. Exhale, pelvic floor, core, slide it to the back. Imagine that you're trying to draw a line in the sand. Inhale, pause here. Exhale, pelvic floor, core, and slide it forward. Now it helps you to, again, track your gaze on a point of focus. That's not moving. Inhale here. Exhale. So in Pilates style of breathing, we make a noisy exhalation breath through the mouth, quite different to yoga. Inhale here. Exhale. It's like somebody's wanting to come along and punch you in the tummy, and you're just going to really create a firm abdominal setting against that sensation. We've got one to go. Inhale here, exhale, and we take it out to the back. I know it's hard stuff. You're doing really well. Inhale, pause here, exhale, the abs are on, and we take that leg to the side. We'll change over to the other side. Be aware, different sides of the body might behave differently. Nice softness through that knee. And we take the other leg out front with the inner thigh slightly turning forward, a pointed toe if we can, like a dancer's toe, and aligning that pelvis to a nice neutral, shoulders on the back. Inhale, breath here to prepare. Exhale, pelvic floor engages, core engages, and we sweep that leg to the back. Like an ice skater. See how far you can take it back. Inhale, pause here. Exhale, and we take it back around. We've got that trained point of focus. Staying really steady through training the gaze. Inhale, pause. Exhale. And then finding steadiness in our movements by using what Joseph Pilates calls our powerhouse. Inhale, pause here. Exhale. And around. Arms to counterbalance if you like. That's way too much to think about. Hands to the hips. Inhale before you exhale and move again. And we've got one more full one on this side. Drawing that line in the sand. Inhale, pause here. Exhale. Taking it out to the back. Inhale, pause here. Exhale. Set it to the side and sweep it in. I'm going to wrap it up here, keeping it really simple. We're going to re-establish this grounding sensation through both feet. We're going to soften up our kneecaps. That means looking down, maybe checking you can't see your shin bones. Try and turn your inner thighs forward without lifting them. Think about a neutral pelvis. Postural alignment is so key. As we find a neutral pelvis, which means that we're not tilting too far back and creating this shape in our back, we're also not sway back. We're not sitting like this. We have it set right in the middle. And then turn your legs to stone. They push down into the ground. The inner thighs actively try push forward. We squeeze up through the pelvic floor, belly button to the back of the spine, those shoulders up, back and down again. And you can let the hands hang by your side, or you can press them at heart center, thumbs into the sternum. I want you to find a place to track your gaze. Point of focus that is still. And finishing with just 5 breaths, exactly like we did at the beginning. Your choices now, though, is to use your hands as well in a kind of form of Tai Chi, where on your inhalation breath, the palms are facing the ceiling. You're thinking about that buoyancy again, creating space through the spine, crown of the head lifting to the ceiling. And then on your exhalation breath, we turn the palms, energy coming downwards, connecting to that gravitational pull. Drawing breath in and out through the nose now, if we can. If you'd like to stick with that Pilates breath, if you enjoyed that on the exhale, feel free to do that again as well. Now I'm encouraging you to keep your eyes open for this one, but if you'd like to close them, don't feel that you need to have them open. Closing my eyes is one of my triggers. I do like to do it because I think it helps, but sometimes it feels nicer just to stay calm here. I'm connecting to gravity. There's a little bit of bob and sway, but nothing dramatic. And exhale as those hands come down, thinking about that force, that powerful force that pulls us to the earth center. Last one, inhale, arms are coming up. Exhale, and they come back down. Finally, I just want to say thank you for joining me for this, for giving it a go. It's a very small snippet of the work that I would like to do in this area. I'll finish off a little YouTube mini-series where we focus next time on the drishti, the gaze. That will be primarily what we're thinking about. And then in the third one, a little bit about rotational movements, which I find really challenging. So going from one side over to the other, or twisting movements in the body. Then I'd like to move on to a more extensive, comprehensive series, which I would make available to continue on with at the end of this introduction. Any feedback you have, I would absolutely love to hear it. And it's just I'm so grateful to have a community like this where I can share what I'm doing and where we might be able to help one another. So thank you, and I will hopefully see you again soon. Bye.